Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing sessions are on Bhagavad Gita from an Advaita perspective offered by Bindoji. We are on chapter 4, room number 15. The replays of all the earlier rooms are available in Clubhouse. You can access them in the house, or you can go to the chat where you can access them on YouTube on a channel called Advaita Retold. There are also two other options. One is an Apple podcast link and the other one is a Spotify where you can access all these talks. Not just Bhagavad Gita, but the earlier talks on Avaroksha, Vibhuti and the Upanishads. There is also a book penned by Artemisia which gives a concise view of the Advaita insights from Bindoji's earlier talks, which is available on Amazon. You can access them with the link shared there. I'll be closing the chat and hand raising when Bindoji is conducting the class, after which we'll open the channels for any following questions and clarifications. As always, thank you, Bindoji. Over to you.
Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamshi Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purana Nam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmiti Murti Beda Vibhagini Vyomavat Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Slokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunvandi Divyaistavai Vedai Sankapada Panishadai Gayanti Yam Tamagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgate Namanasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam Navidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. The Karma Vichara Prakarana, that is the thought and the analysis on the karma, has been building up towards this very moment where Krishna is going to give us the ultimate in the Karma Yoga as the method. This is the true Karma Yoga which he wants us to understand. Even though the earlier he has said to surrender the fruits of action as a devotion, etc. But the problem was Gahana Karmana Gati. The method or the path in which the karma operates or dwell upon is unfathomable by ordinary minds. So in the 16th verse, he gave a preamble saying that even the Kavis are deluded by this karma and akarma, vikarma, etc. And he gives a promise that I will be teaching you the three, what is karma, akarma and vikarma. And in the 17th verse, the three categories must be understood was made clear. And he also added to that the path of the karma is very difficult for anyone to understand. And in the 18th verse, he is giving the resolution. The great Advaitic inversion that cuts through all confusion to land on the Tattvajnana of Karma Yoga. 18th verse is the philosophical summit of the Karma Vichara Prakarana, and one of the most important verses in the Karma Prakarana. It accomplishes what 17 promised through the three Bodhavyam: Karma Bodhavyam, Vikarma Bodhavyam, Akarma Bodhavyam. Particularly the third and the supreme Akarma, Akarmanascha Bodhavyam. By disclosing the Advaitic inversion of the ordinary understanding, in the 19th verse, seeing Akarma in Karma, recognizing the Atma's eternal non-acting Akartrutva within and beneath all apparent actions. Not only that, seeing Karma in Akarma, recognizing the ceaseless activity of Prakriti or Gunas, even in the apparent physical stillness or Akartrutva. So therefore, this double inversion is the darshana. Darshana means vision or revelation. That constitutes the Tattva Jnana, the teaching or the knowledge of the Tattva. And its bearer is declared a Buddhiman, a truly intelligent person, the only intelligent person in that man. But he is also a Yukta, integrated or accomplished in that vision of the three on the double inversion. He is also called a Krishna Karmakrit, a performer of all actions in their totality. All actions in totality. There is no action outside his purview. Please understand. The paradoxical final description, performer of all actions, for someone who sees Akarma in Karma, is the deepest Advaitic statement in the particular verse, 18th verse. The Jnani who recognizes Akartrutva acts most completely, for no longer than Kartrutva Abhimana fragment distort or bind their actions. Therefore, Shankaracharya is asking a question. Kim punaha tattvam karmadehe yad bodhavyam vakshyami iti pratiknyatam. What is that tattvam or the truth of these karmas? Karma, akarma, vikarma, etc. Yet bodhavyam, which should be realized. Pratiknyatam iti vakshami iti pratiknyatam. You promised that you will tell me. Therefore, Krishna, Bhagavan Uchyate. Krishna is telling that. Karmani akarmaya pasyet akarmani karmayas. Sabuddhiman manushyeshu sa yuktaha Krishna karma kritu. Karmani. It is a locative word. Within action or inaction. Both meaning can be taken. Either as inaction or within action. Akarma is a noun. Non-action. Not inaction. Non-action. Yaha pasyet. Yaha means who, one who. Pasyet This word pashyat is very philosophical here in nature. It is not simply a word see, even though the root word is giving the meaning see, but the usage pashyat is a withering, is would see or should see or is able to see. These three meanings are applicable depending upon the context. Akarmani chaya. Similarly, akarmani in non-action or within the apparent non-action. Cha is in a conjunction and connecting the two pashyat clause. Both are connected with pashyat is the one verb which is used in both these things. Karma, akarmani karma. The earlier portion was karmani akarma. So seeing within action, non-action, or here within the non-action, action. One who sees both. Yaha, saha means he, buddhiman, the truly intelligent one, or the one who possesses the buddhi. Manusheshu, among the human beings, saha, that person is yuktaha. Yuktaha means yoga accomplished, disciplined, or integrated. Krishna karma krit is a compound. Krishna plus karma plus krit. An accomplisher of complete karma or performer of all actions. So when we go to each word analysis, the most important word in this verse is pashyat. Pashyati means to see or seeing. But when it becomes pashyat, it will become would or should or might see. The withering, optative. Not merely conditional, but qualifactory in nature. One who is able to see or one who has the capacity to see. In the epistemological usage, the word pashyat with its sense describes a specific perpetual achievement. The seeing is not ordinary chakshu darshana, a vision by physical eyes, but a prajna darshana, the seeing of prajnavan, or a person who is endowed with intelligence. The direct, immediate recognition available only to Tattvajnanis. It is not like ordinary intellectual understanding or logical or by argumentative means of knowing. It is a experience in the nature of realization. That is why it is called Prajnana Darshana. Even though the root drish or pash carries ordinary seeing, here it carries a special weight. Even though the root darshana, vision, is ordinary one to see, here it is a philosophical approach to that. to indicate Sakshatkara, a direct perception without any intermediaries in between. A direct perception is knowing and being. There is no difference between the two. Knowing, we normally have a means, pramana, and an object in knowing. But when you are knowing about your own nature, it is called sakshat, means direct. And crucially, the Upanishadic epithet of Atman itself, drashta, the seer, he becomes a seer of the truth of himself. In the Brihadaranya Upanishad, 3rd chapter, 4th pada, 2nd mantra, it says, Yo vitnyataram are kena vijaniyat. It is that knower by whom all is known. Vitnyataram, the knower. Are kena vijaniyat. How, by whom can he be seen? Or he is the seer of all. Therefore, he cannot be seen by something. That meaning is what is indicated by the word pashyet here. When Krishna uses in a double reversal statement that karmani akarma and akarmani karma. Action in non-action and non-action in action. Therefore, the pashyet of this 18th verse carries the resonance of the Atman seeing itself. It is the self realizing the self. The drashta recognizing its own akartrutva within the field of karma, or a realization that in all these actions, I am the non-doer of these actions. At the same time, in the akarmani karmaya, karmani akarma, in these actions, even though it is being performed, I am not the actor. So what is the word karmani within action when it is mentioned? In the midst of every action, there is no exception for it. Whether it's nitya, naimittika, viruddha, or vidhi, nisheda, all type of actions. Krishna will list out about 20 actions in this Bhagavad Gita. In all that, amidst all of them, it is the very locus of action. This is not despite action or after action or before action, but precisely within action itself. In the process of action being performed, the presence of the self as a non-doer. The akarma is not formed by stopping the action, but by seeing through the action to the akarta atman that underlies it. The presence of the self within which all actions supposed to be happening. Like the presence of the sun, entire activity in the surface of the earth, wherever the light is falling, actions are happening because of light. But at the same time, light is remaining inactive in all those activities. It is an example which I am telling for us to comprehend that karmani akarma, in the amidst the action, remaining or not remaining, being the non-doer. The locative philosophy is philosophically decisive because the seeing occurs immanently within karma, not by transcending to some separate domain, transcending the realm of activity. No. The akarma, the non-action, as a direct object of pashyet, the jnani sees akarma, actively perceives, directly recognizes the essential non-acting Atman as the akarta or the non-doer. What is this akarma seen within karma? That is, what is this non-doer, non-doing seen within action? The akarma seen in karma is equal to the Atman's essential non-doership, the recognition that while the body, mind, etc. acts, which is driven by the Prakriti and its gunas, the 3rd chapter, 27th verse, Guna Guneshu Vartande. The Pratyagatma or the self does not act. It is the eternal, unchanging witness. The witness in whole illuminating presence. All actions occurs, but which itself remains perfectly still, perfectly actionless, a perfect akarta, a non-doer. This is the specific akarma bodha, that was told in the 17th verse, identified as the third and the supreme bodhavyam. Karma bodhavyam, vikarma bodhavyam, akarma bodhavyam, akarmanascha bodhavyam. That's the supreme bodhavyam. The understanding of which liberates mokshase ashubhat. From the ashubha, you are being released, which was mentioned in the 16th verse. So, karmani akarmaya pasyet is the most direct statement of Atma Sakshatkara in action. That you can have a realization, emancipation, or freedom, the real freedom, while in action. The seeing has to be understood with a characteristic precision, which Shankaracharya is bringing in. See, the ordinary Ajnani sees karma, or sees only karma in karma. Ordinary Ajnani, the ordinary ignorant person, he sees only karma in a karma. When action is going on, he will be seeing the action going on. Nothing else. They see the action and identify the Atman as a Karta. And then say, I am doing this. This is the primary adhyasa or superimposition of Kartrutva upon Akarta Brahman or Atman, which generate the karma lepa, samskara, punarjanma, etc. When this adhyasa is happening, actually karma is going on, and they see the karma is being done by me. The body is breathing, eating, shopan, asnan, unmission, nimission. All those words will come later. That is blinking, breathing, moving, sleeping. All those actions, they will see the action. I am eating, I am eating. I am sleeping, I am sleeping. I am walking, I am walking. So all this I am doing, the aham karta, which is an adhyasa on the Atman, because of which the ignorant person generates the impressions of the karma, which is called the samskara, and therefore the rebirth, etc. The jnani sees akarma in karma. The tattvajnani who has realized it, that Atma, I am the Atma, the self, and the Sakshi, the witness, he sees that non-doer or the non-doing nature in karma. Within the very same action, they recognize that action is occurring through the Prakriti's guna. I am the Atman is akarta. That is their knowledge. So guna guneshu vartante, prakriti gunaha. All those things which we have studied earlier. The karma continues at the vyavaharika level of the body, mind, intellect for the jnani. He realizes that the Atman is recognized as the akarta at the paramarthika level. This is not a disassociation from the action, but seeing through its vyavahara appearance, the empirical appearance of activity, to the paramarthik truth of the nature of Atma, which is the identification he has with an eternal non-participation. He doesn't identify the doership as I am the doer. Therefore, what happens is that it is not a disassociation from his point of view. He sees the actions are appearances at the body, mind level, intellectual or the vyavaharika level. In the 4th chapter, 4th pada of 23 mantra of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, is there a word called Drishter Drishta or Vijnater Vijnata, Vijnataram. Is a knower of knowers, or the seer of seers, acting through all cognition while itself remaining the uncognized ground. And even in the Katha Upanishad, it says, na hanti na hanyate. It is neither slain nor slays. Atman is akarta even in the midst of what appears to be the most action in the Yuddha battle for Arjuna's case in here. So karmani akarma pasyet, who sees karma, akarma in karma, akarmani cha karma pasyet, and the one who sees karma in akarma. The mirroring of karmani akarma, akarmani karma. is not merely rhetorical elegance. It encodes the Advaitic, non-dual inversion at the heart of the Karma Yoga Jnana. The ordinary categories karma is acting, akarma is non-acting, are inverted at the Paramarthika level. So akarma becoming acting and karma becoming non-acting. In the sense, akarma is the witnessing and karma is really not taking place as an appearance. So seeing karma in akarma, what is the karma seen within akarma? The apparent inactivity or the physical stillness. Karma seen within akarma. Akarma is non-dual. It is an inactivity. What is the activity which we are seeing inside that? There are two primary meanings to it. At the Vyavaharika level, one who sits physically but still maintains the Kartrutva Abhimana. I am not acting. But the pride of non-doing, non-acting is in fact performing the karma of Ahankara. So his ego is taking the ownership of non-doing or non-action. The gunas constitute to operate even the physical stillness, which is in the form of tamas or inertia. That itself becomes a guna activity in the form of sankalpa, mental intention that I am not a doer. But that mental action constitutes, and therefore vasanas continue to generate impressions. The ajnani who thinks inactivity, nivritti, is itself liberation, is making the opposite error to the ajnani who identifies with external action. Both are seeing only Vyavaharika surfaces and is unable to recognize the Paramarthika level. But at the Paramarthika depth, even the jnani state of akarma nishta, abiding in recognition of Atma's akartrutva, the body and the prarabdha continue to do their activity at the body, mind, intellectual level. Prakriti, they are prakriti. And therefore prakriti acts ceaselessly. Nahi kaschit chanamapi jatu tishtatya karmakrita. In the 5th verse of the 3rd chapter. Not for a moment does anyone remain without action. Krishna has categorically mentioned that. That even the Jivan Mukta's apparent stillness involves karma of prana, indriya, metabolic process, and all driven by Prakriti's gunas. Seeing this karma within akarma is recognizing that the complete cessation of Vyavaharika karma is impossible while embodied. Therefore, Karma Yoga, acting with the Akartratva Jnana, is only genuinely a Nishkama path, but it is not a physical withdrawal from the activity. Therefore, Akarmani cha karma yap pasyet. It targets the specific error of the Nashta Atman, who has mistaken himself his identity. He mistakes nirvritti, withdrawal from action, as moksha. Shankaracharya is consistent in the anti-nivritti or argument of that runs through the Gita. Na karmanam anarambat naishkarmyam purushosnade. Not by non-commencement of action does one attain naishkarmya. He had said this in the 4th verse of the 3rd chapter. Simply sitting still is not akarma. Because the gunas continue acting their actings. The manas continues generating sankalpa. And most importantly, if kartrutva abhimana is not dissolved by jnana, even the complete physical stillness remains karma in the bondage. The complementary teaching, seeing karma in akarma, drives the student away from the false refuge of the physical nivritti and towards the true akarma, which is not the physical stillness but the Atman's inherent non-doership, recognized through jnana even in midst of the most active engagement in the world. That is why Krishna, in spite of the war and in middle of the war, is able to talk to Arjuna the real meaning of karma and akarma. And he is asking Arjuna to be the tattva jnana. With the right knowledge, he can be engaged in activity because he is a non-doer. The word analysis, buddhiman, buddhi plus mat is a suffix. One who has buddhi is a simple meaning, or one who is endowed with buddhi. But here, the buddhi is not the mere intellect which is mentioned as meda or dhi, etc. This buddhi, we have to connect it to the bodhavyam of the previous verse. Karmacha bodhavyam, akarmacha bodhavyam, akarmanascha bodhavyam. That bodhavyam is the word where the buddha dhatu is there, and that is the buddhi used here by the buddhiman also, the man who is endowed with that type of a buddhi. The faculty of awakened understanding, discriminating awareness as prajna. So the buddhi is where prajna takes place, the discriminating awareness. Buddhi at its highest is the purified antakarana that has been made pure, shuddha, through sadhana, that now reflects pure consciousness, chit, without distortion. The transparent instrument of Atma-jnana. So when he says buddhiman among manusheshu, the rarest of human beings, the one whose buddhi has attained the vision of akarma in karma and karma in akarma, both. Therefore, the locative word manusheshu, among all the human beings who follow mama vartma, which was the 11th, there also he used manusheshu. Manushyaha sarvashaha, mama vatma anuvartande. Here he is using the same manusheshu as a locative thing. He is the one who, the karmani akarma yappashet, he is the buddhiman. He is the one who sees in non-action in action. Not as a intellectual appreciation, but as his own nature of non-doer, amidst all his body, mind and intellect being in action. Sa buddhiman manusheshu is the highest praise for a tattvajnani by Krishna himself. Saeva buddhiman iti pratipadyate, Shankaracharya says. He alone is to be recognized as the buddhiman. The superlative is implicit, not merely that he is intelligent, but he alone truly deserves the title of buddhiman. Because without the vision of akarma in karma, all other intelligence, panditya, shastrajnana, tarka buddhi, tarka kushalata, etc., all of them is ultimately abuddhimatva, non-intellectual activities. The real intellect is the one which sees the karmani akarmaya pasyet. Because all other places, adhyasa is operational. Only when he realizes this truth of non-doership in the doer, in the action, he is elevated, or he rises above the ordinary intellectual activities. It also carries an Advaitic implication. The buddhi, whose highest function is discrimination, viveka, between atma and anatma, karta and akarta, karma and akarma. All these things can be done only by a buddhiman. Therefore, the buddhiman is precisely the one whose viveka buddhi has penetrated into the karmana gahana gati, into the impenetrable path of the karma. And he sees through the vyavahara, surface of karma and akarma, to the paramarthika inversion. And he is also a yukta, accomplished one, joined, yoked or united, disciplined, yoga accomplished individual. Yoga nishta, yukta means yoga nishta, established in yoga, integrated. The state of samhita chitta, collected mind. Specifically in the Gita's vocabulary, yukta, the man who has attained yoga, is used as for the sthita prajna in the second chapter, karma yogi in the third chapter, and here for the jnani who sees akarma in karma. So all of them are yuktas, sthita prajna, karma yogi and jnani. The repeated saha buddhiman sa yukta, there is a repetition in the saha buddhiman saha yukta. Normally in the Shastra, repetition is considered to be inferior. But here, this usage by Krishna is an emphatic repetition that one is buddhiman and that one is also a yukta. The same yaha pasyet is qualified by the two attributes in succession, building the portrait of a true tattvajnani, the ultimate. And then he is also giving an adjective to that person. Krishna karma krit. Krishna means all, entire, complete or whole. So Krishna is the totality, all without any reminder, and even an iota of residue. Karma krit, karma, action. Krit means a doer, a maker or a performer. So karma krit means performer of karma. So Krishna karma krit, when it is said that he is a performer or accomplisher of the complete action. And he is also yapasyet, one who sees akarma in karma, who recognizes the Atman's akartrutva, is called the karma Krishna karma krit. Therefore, the performer of all actions is also the knower that he is a non-doer of any action. This is the supreme Advaitic paradox. The one who recognizes non-doership is declared as the complete doer. How? Shankaracharya is resolving that the karma, Krishna Karmakrit designation operates at the Vyavaharika level. From the perspective of the world, he is Jnani. This Jnani appears to perform all actions completely without suppression, without renunciation of Swadharma, and without fragmented, karma distorted action of that similar to an Ajnani. Because the Jnani has no kartrutva abhimana. There is no ego that I am the doer. They are not driven to suppress or avoid action. He has no necessity to suppress or avoid any activity. Because he knows that he is not the doer of anything. Therefore, they act fully, naturally, completely, as Swadharma demands. Performing Krishna karma means all required actions. At the same time, without the inner distortion of kartrutva abhimana. There is no distortion to that. He knows that he is a non-doer, akarta. And not only that, phala sparsha is not tainted or touched by the fruits of action. When he is not a doer, where can the fruits of action touch him or entice him? Krishna Karmakrit means that Jnani performing all actions in their completeness. Not as sakama actions, action seeking phala or fruit of action. Not a vikarma, distorted or kama, krodha, etc. Not a khandita or fragmentary or half-hearted jobs. But whole, complete and purna action. Because it flows from the recognition of Atma's purnata. And he identifies with all. Therefore, all actions are seen from that Sakshi level. And therefore, it is offered as a yajna without a reminder. Sarva karma yajna ahuti. This will be coming later in this chapter. Seeing akarma makes one the most complete karma krit. Sa yuktaha Krishna karma krit is the definitive portrait of a Jivan Mukta as a karma yogi. So there are two levels Shankaracharya unpacking this paradox. Paramarthikata, from the standpoint of Tattvajnana, the Jnani is akarta, performs no action. The Atman they have recognized as their own Swarupa is akarta, avyaya, as mentioned in the 13th verse. But at the empirical Vyavaharikata standpoint of the Vyavahara, the same Jnani is Krishna Karmakrit, is performer of all actions. Because prarabdha drives the body, prarabdham pushyati vapuhu, to complete its designated trajectory. Until the body is dropped, the actions of the body will continue to be there. But he is not identifying with the body. He is a drashta. He is a seer of the body and its activity as a akarta atma. Therefore, the Jnani does not obstruct this kartrutva abhimana or phalaspriha at the body level. It is not his, because they are prakriti and gunas which are doing that. Actions follow through the Jnani's body, mind freely and completely like the wind in an open space, unobstructed undistorted, unbound. Yet, it is in him, it is apparently what others see that action is being done. And from his point of view, he is akarta. The compound Krishna Karma Krit thus contains both the levels of simultaneously. The Jnani is the complete performer of all Vyavahara actions according to the Swadharma. Because no Kartrutva Abhimana interferes in these actions. While being the complete non-performer at the Paramarthika level, his own understanding and identification is at the Paramarthika level as the Atma is Akarta. But he is also the performer of the complete actions from the point of view of others and his own point of view as the appearance of actions being done by the body, mind, intellect, etc. This dual description is the living resolution of the Gahana Karmana Gati. That is why this path of karma cannot be understood from the empirical or Vyavahara level. Unless we rise up to the level of the Paramarthika level, identifying ourselves as the Atman, as the Akarta, to decipher this path of karma will become difficult. It is not a logical solution, but a perpetual transformation. Pasyet. So therefore, the Pasyet Ved is a aparoksha anubhava that transcends the ordinary karma, akarma binary. So, the verse, karmani akarmaya pasyet, akarmani cha karmayaha, one who sees the akarma in karma and one who sees karma in akarma, sa buddhiman manusheshu saha yuktaha krishna karmakrit. That one is the buddhiman among the human beings. And he is indeed verily the yukta, the performer of all actions. So, these two are the opposites or the reversals which Krishna is talking. Karmani akarmaya pasyet, karmaya akarma. So it's a darshana, what is used by the word pasyet, seeing as an aparoksha anubhava. So the pasyet in the context of is Shankaracharya's occasion to establish that seeing is required as aparoksha anubhava. Not mere intellectual conviction, but a direct, immediate recognition. The word pasyet is used for this recognition which resonates with drishta as Atman's witness, which is in the Brihadaranya Upanishad. Pasyedam adi kartaram, as the Kathopanishad said, the primordial creator seen by the seers. And also in the Purusha Sukta, Vedahamedam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasapparastar. Therefore, Shankaracharya is not making up this statement. He is referring that the same word, drishta, pasya, veda, all these things are indicating toward the same thing. The seeing of akarma in karma is thus the same seeing as Atma's self-recognition, Atma drishta. Seeing itself as akarta within the play of karma. It is not a vritti jnana, conceptual cognition, but a swarupa jnana, realizing one's own nature. The Atma recognizing its own non-acting nature through the transparency of the purified intellect. Therefore, the Jivan Mukta's action is the resolution of the Krishna Karmakrit paradox in the fullest expression of his Jivan Mukti doctrine. He is an Akarta at the Paramarthika level. The Atman there identified with which does not do any action. And he is a Krishna Karmakrit, the Jivan Mukta, at the Vyavaharika level. The body, mind continues to perform all Swadharma or all karma driven by the Prarabdha. The highest form of Karma Yoga, not merely Nishkama actions without desire, but action from the recognition of non-doership or akartrutva of the Atman, which is simultaneously the most free and the most complete action possible. When you are knowing that you are akarta, no action is limitation for the activity. There is no doership, no ownership of the actions. Actions happens like an appearance at the body, mind, intellect level. Therefore, there is a requirement of integration between the jnana and karma, which is the word indicated by the word yukta in this verse. The designation of yukta for the karmani akarmaya pasyed directly echoes the yoga vocabulary of, yoga, which is referred in the Bhagavad Gita, many type of yogas which are there. Signals that this person has achieved the yoga in its full intents or fullest sense. Not the physical yoga of posture, etc. Not merely mental yoga of the concentration or meditation of dhyana, etc. But the Atma Yoga, the perfect integration of Paramarthika recognition that akarta, akarma, and the Vyavaharika level of action. He becomes a living embodiment of karmani akarmaya pasyet. In the action, he remains as the non-doer. Therefore, the yukta of this verse is thus the full realization of what Krishna describes as Stita Prajna in the second chapter, Karma Yogi in the third chapter, and Manmaya Mam Upashrita in the fourth chapter, 10th verse, all pointing to the one and the same integrated in person who has a realization of Atma Akarta, expressed through the complete Vyavaharika engagement. He is not running away. He is not secluding himself. He is engaged in the Vyavaharika level. But at the same time, he is integrated realization that he is Atma, which is the Akarta. So the 16th and 17th verses are now resolved in this direct fulfillment by the 18th verse. The promises and the questions of 16 and 17. Kim karma, kima karma. What is karma, what is akarma has been answered in this one. Karma is the field in which akarma, Atman's akartrutva, is to be seen. And akarma is the apparent inactivity in which karma, the guna-based activity, continues. That is why the answer for kim karma, kima karma. And also says in the 16th verse, Yat nyatva mokshasya ashubhat. How does it happen? Knowing which you shall be freed. This verse specifies that. Jnana as pashyet. Seeing the akarma in karma and its bearers as the buddhiman yukta Krishna karmakrit. The free, integrated, complete individual. And in the 17th verse he has mentioned Gahana Karmana Gati. It is unfathomable or deep is the karma's way. The 18th verse penetrates that depth, the Gahana or the deepest point, that is very difficult for the ordinary minds to get. At the Paramarthika level, karma contains akarma and akarma contains karma. At the Paramarthika level. And this inversion is visible only to a Buddhiman with a Pashyed vision, that is Atma Anubhava. With the 18th verse, the philosophical heart of Karma Vichara stands fully disclosed. The verse, great double inversion, Karmani Akarma and Akarmani Karma, is not a logical puzzle but a perfect transformation. The shift from Vyavaharika surface seeing of activity and stillness to Paramarthika depth, seeing Atman's Akartrutva within all activity, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha, within all apparent stillness. The bearer of this darshana or vision is the rarest of the human Buddhiman, is the rarest width of the yoga, the fullest expression of yoga also. He is a yoga and yukta. Now the teaching now moves to the 19th verse. Yasya sarva samaramba, describing the jnani's action in concrete terms, whose very undertaking is free from sankalpa, desire-motivated actions, and kama. The detailed portrait of the Krishna Karmakrit, whose inner life is governed by the Pashyet or the Darshana of 18th verse, completing the Karma Vichara before the magnificent Yajna Prakarana, which is going to start from 23rd to 33 verse. As a prelude to that, transforms the entire field of action into single, all-encompassing Yajna offered to Brahman. That is from 19 to 23rd. The Bhashya is a long one. We will take the Bhashya in the tomorrow's class and maybe day after tomorrow's class of this chapter. This particular verse, 18th verse. Because he is taking the Purva Paksha or opponent's question mainly from the Vyavaharika point or the Mimamsaka point of view. It is worth understanding because the older Mimamsas are the today's people entrenched in activity. They don't see anything beyond it. But they are not able to rise above the level of karma. So we will go through the Bhashya tomorrow and maybe day after tomorrow to decipher the entire karma aspect of it. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much, Mindoji, for the deepening of the Karma Vichara and very, very critical Manana topics here. So I've opened the chat and hand raising. I'm sure there are questions. We have about 20-25 minutes with Bindoji. Namaste, Venkatji.
Namaste, Venkat.
Namaste, Binduji. Prakashi. Binduji, this double inversion, try to get a little more clarity on it. I was drawing just to put it in an example that makes it better. Drawing a circle, where the entire, say, this representative nature is available. The Prakriti, among which, say, the BMI of, operated by the Gnani as just one person among this. So the Prakriti Gunakarmani, the ones who sees this Prakriti based on gunas, performing action that include the BMI of the Gnani, also part of the Prakriti only. It's never separate. It's all of that is in one block. This means this belong to the karma in akarma. This view is karma in akarma, because the karma belong to Prakriti. Akarma is always, free from it. This is one dimension. Then the other dimension is the BMI, action through the BMI, is that this is akarma, karma in akarma. The karma in akarma is a sakshi within. The actions are happening but unbound, not affected the Gnani who is Sakshi Bhuta. So the BMI, now karma in akarma and akarma in karma, if you take these two variations, is the mapping of these two in this, two configurations, via BMI, action via BMI, versus the larger superset in which all this is happening, that belong to Prakriti. So karma and akarma and akarma, how do you sort of now, taking this example, slot both of them?
See, the way in which Shankaracharya has explained it, and taking from what Krishna has words. Pardon? Did you say anything in between?
No, Vidyaji, I'm here. I'm listening to you. I'm just taking this example as a context. That way, it is better understood.
Yeah, but that that example which you said, the BMI, in the relation to the whole world, there the problem will become the moment the BMI is associated with. Whereas the Tattvajna or the Jivan Mukta or the Jnani, he doesn't identify with the BMI of his own alone.
There's no BMI. There's no identification in the BMI. I'm just taking context of BMI. Context of BMI with the Prarabdha connection. Right? It is operating through Prarabdha. It is also seen.
No, that is why he is not even seeing his BMI as his BMI, and the Prarabdha of that BMI as the Prarabdha of the BMI. He, when has identified himself as the non-doer Atma, has even transcended the limitation of the BMI to the Atma, which is the substratum of everything, or Brahman. Therefore, for him, he is not even a doer through the one body. Then it becomes the total empirical world becomes the field of action for him. And that he is not seeing that activities are happening because of Prakriti and Guna. And he is a witness only to that. In which one BMI is what others are identifying as his. He doesn't identify his own body as the limitation anymore. It is just like that when we wake up into the waker. The waker is identified when we are in ignorance, that I am Bindu in the waking world as a embodied person. But at the same time, if the Tattvajnana has taken place, the waking world is seen as an apparent waking world in which the waker, which is identified as Bindu, is one of the empirical entities of the waking world. It is no more my body, mind, intellect, BMI, are associated with Bindu. It is also part of the empirical world.
This
And
belongs
This
belongs to action in inaction. The action in inaction. Right, Binduji? The BMI...
No. So that what happens is that the entire activities of the empirical world, he sees as an apparent action, as akarma in the karma. Non-doership as a witness among all activities.
The moment you say then it is action, that is an inaction in action, right? So that larger, the moment you put entire, then it will become inaction, right?
Yes.
Inaction, that whole, so when you put it in the context of BMI, there is a action in inaction. When you put an entire, it is the other way, right?
See that if you bring in that limitation of BMI and to limit the entire, then you are making a mistake.
It has to reconcile, right, Binduji?
No, the BMI is no more a limitation for the entirety.
In both of
when
the cases, BMI
is Krishna Karma Krit, when the word is used, Krishna Karma Krit, there is no limitation of any sort. All actions.
So
the entirety of the actions.
The moment you bring entirety, then it's an inversion. That is inaction in action.
So that is why in this word, Yap Pasyet, Karmani Akarma and Akarmani Karma, both has to be seen in the same frame. You cannot separate out the frames.
Then can you take some examples from common experience to explain both the inversion, both inversions, right? The both options. So if you can take example, that will simplify this, right, Binduji?
Yeah, see, that is exactly what the verse said. No, he is seeing that non-doer present in all activities of the empirical world as a witness, but not as the one who is doing the entirety of the actions of the empirical world. So, in the karmas, he is the witness which is a non-doer. And as a non-doer, he is seeing the activities happening because of his witnessing. The witnessing is noticing the activities. Therefore, what happens is that in the non-doership, all activities are being now seen as a seer of all actions. Therefore, the karmani akarma and akarmani karma both happens in that same framework. One as a paramarthika level knower who has no doership. He is the one which is witness in all actions, and all actions happens because he is witnessing it.
Paramarthika level, it is clear, Binduji. The broader field in which everything is happening, Prakriti Guna Karmani, because you sum total everything as Prakriti. You sum total everything as Prakriti. All actions are happening due to the guna and the effect of gunas. That's a perfect sum total.
And who is knowing it?
So that is exactly the witness knowing this.
Yes.
Witness knowing this, that's clear, Binduji.
Yes.
The basic dissection is like this.
And then you have to invert that, no? The saying, witness seeing the Prakriti gunas happening, karmas happening. Now, the actions are happening is because he is witnessing it.
Now that is even true for larger field also.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, I mean, the problem is
the witness is catch-all, right? There are two levels of witness problems, right?
no,
Witness,
there is only one witness and one set of actions.
No, I'm just trying to dissect and solve it. That makes it easier.
Yes.
Suppose you are a witness to a court. There is something happened and you are a witness. Because you witnessing everything, you might give a testimonial. Okay, I witnessed something happen. Witnessing at a larger field, right? The situation that witnessed larger. Now put the BMI in context. The BMI in context, because the actions will need to happen through the BMI which is occupied. So the witnessing of even the BMI is the deeper level. This is where the association is far stronger. Hence, this BMI bound actions due to prarabdha, that has to happen where the other C Gnani continue to perform, whatever. But from a Gnani's point of view, the BMI led actions are also, as per dharma, because the buddhi provided in that occupation knows this larger truth. Hence, this BMI perform according to the larger context of dharma. So there are two alignments. One is the larger Prakriti, and where the BMI is part of. Through the BMI, because buddhi is there, the buddhi is provided in this verse, because the buddhi has that knowledge. Hence, further, it is not, out of sync with the larger setup. This is how I see it.
So, where are you now? You as Venkat, where are you placed yourselves in this?
I can see both.
You can see both, and you are shifting from one side to another side and seeing both?
No, without shifting.
Without shifting. Now, without shifting, so you explain the non-doership in doing.
Breathing is happening. At a BMI level, breathing is happening. So I can hear some music, my wife is practicing sitar. Both are seen at the same length.
Right. Now, see the other side of it. Were the actions in that, where is the non-doer?
Both. There's no doer in both places.
Okay. So, that is, so all the time, whether you are looking from the Paramarthika level or from the Vyavaharika level, you are the non-doer, akarta. The Paramarthika level, there is no action, no witnessing, nothing. But when the Vyavaharika level is included, there the actions are there, the entirety of the action. not only at the BMI level. The stars, sun, moon, the entire galaxies,
all of it.
everything which is everywhere, the actions are there. That actions are apparent actions from the witnessing point of view.
That belongs to Prakriti Guna Karmani.
Yes. That is one where the akarta is witnessing the action. That is karmani akarma.
Karmani akarma. Okay.
Agreed?
Yes.
Now akarmani karma is when the others are seeing the same jnani who has this knowledge of non-doership is engaged as a BMI individual, performing all actions of breathing, eating, walking, doing, karma, whether loka sangraha or otherwise, teaching or shishyas, all those things. All those things are seen as karma on the jnani, which is actually speaking in the akarma, non-doer atma, the adhyasa of karmas, which is being attributed onto the karma.
That's a third person perspective.
Yes.
So you're saying both first person and third person perspective, both is part of this verse.
No, that the jnani understands the knowledge of the third person in his akartrutva. That is where the empirical activity is perceived as activity by the other people and superimposed one. That is why the adhyasa part was explained.
So the inversion is recognizing the ajnana part of Prakriti.
Yes.
Okay, this is one positive, another one is negative. One is forward and one was reverse. The both, vritti, pravritti, nivritti, both are seen.
Both are seen from a witnessing point of view.
So karma siddhi is really about transcending both pravritti and nivritti.
Yes, it is beyond that, both.
Okay, I think this was clarity I was looking for, Binduji. Both need to be seen. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Binduji.
We'll continue the Bhashya, read line by line and go through it again, so it will become clearer tomorrow when we get. So many people have chatted something, I can't read that.
I can read, Binduji. Patrick says, Brahman can't be limited by these notions. I don't know which notions. Oh, it is Karen who said, unity of BMIs is the karta which is witnessed. I think these are all very right topics for Sunday, Binduji.
If I had to go through that, I had to start with Karin, the projecting of karta on other, shining light on both others. Then Patrick says there is no vyavahara and paramathiya level. Karin says unity of BMI is the karta which is witnessed. Brahman can't be limited by these notions. I don't know. I can't make out. Unless Karin and Patrick want to come up and explain what both of them were transacting.
Karen is coming up. Namaste, Karen.
Namaste, Karin.
Namaste, Binduji. Namaste, Prakash. No, I was wondering, I was not reacting to Patrick. Patrick was reacting to the conversation you and Venkaji was having, and so was I. So my question is, the unity of the BMIs, because everything is connected, is the karta which is witnessed, right?
No. Witness is not limited to the BMI.
No, which is witnessed. It's not, it is witnessed by the witness, the karta, the unity of the karta of the doer in all the BMIs, body, mind, the intellect. That is the karta. So the karta, so other and self, the body, your own body, mind, and other body, mind, and intellect, that is, how do you call that? That
The
is
moment
the karta. From the perspective of the witness.
From the perspective of witness, it is no limitation of BMI. He is a witness of all Prakriti or the entirety of the nature.
Yes. But nature is Prakriti. It's the doer, right? It's movement. It's doing.
No, these actions are the nature of Prakriti. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So, in other words, it's Purusha and Prakriti have been separated.
Yeah. See, from the witnessing point of view, the Prakriti is separate, and that is the point of Purusha Prakriti part of it. But the
Right.
witnessing is knowing that the Prakriti and the activities are apparent activities, not real activities in the nature of. That is why there is no Paramarthika, Vyavaharika and the ultimate point of view. But from the point of view of when you talk about karma and akarma and vikarma and all those aspects, there we have to talk about the Paramarthika and Vyavaharika for the purpose of understanding to ultimately deny both.
Well, yeah, because everything is an appearance. So,
yes.
And then it's understood. Yes, understood. Thank you.
Prakriti is in the explanation, Patrick. You are always stuck to one thing, that there is only Brahman. Yes, I agree that. Then you should not talk about anything else. The Prakriti is being explained to the persons who are seeing the activity. From the absolute point of view, you should not even use any word. Anything, nothing can be explained or nothing can be, qualified or quantified or explained or nomenclatured. So when you are from the perfect point of view of Brahman, even the words should not be used. But when the words are being used, we have to bring in the transactional empirical world. And in that case, when we are using that, there is the Prakriti, there is the knower, the witness. There is nothing to witness when you are the. That is why Shankaracharya used the quotation from the Brihadaranya Upanishad. Knower of knower. Knower of knower. How can there be a knower of knower? Then who is the knower? Who is the known? That question will come. That is why Ijnadaram arekena vijaniya. That knower can be known by whom? Nobody can know that. Then that infinite regression will take place. That is why when words are used, it is for a person who are seeing the mirage as water. But the water is not there. To him, the water has to be explained as a non-existent appearance only. Okay, Prakash, we'll wind up.
Okay, Binduji. Thank you again very much for this. Is a very deep contemplation, keeping the logic so intact. I think it's such a wonderful exercise, and I hope everybody is putting in their effort for the manana. Otherwise, this is the question I have, which I will reserve for Sunday. I think there is some clarification about the practice that I always address, and I think I'll bring it up on Sunday, Binduji. So
Okay.
I will thank all the members and of the house and the regular attendees who come here and participate in this process of Shravana Manana. As Binduji reminded us, this is the Karma Vichara section where we're going deep into that aspect of the knower and the doer. So the replays are available in Clubhouse, or you can go to the YouTube channels, Advaita Retold, where you can access these talks, which is necessary for you to clarify a lot of the questions that arise, through which you can further deepen your conversation with Binduji. And tomorrow we'll meet again at 8:30 p.m. IST. We'll continue on Bhagavad Gita. And as always, thank you very much, Binduji. Over to you to close the session.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Venkat and Karin, for your questions, and Patrick. We'll continue the Bhashya tomorrow and get more clarity then. See you all tomorrow. Hari Om. Good night.
Good night, Bandit.
Good night.